Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are here to talk about Week 9. We are going to cover our starts of the week and preview the whole Sunday slate, and we'll talk about the Monday game as well. This is our fantasy football show. We are not going to be doing the DraftKings segment. So if that's something that you really enjoyed and you want us to be covering it, just let us know in the comments. But our schedule has just been really crazy with the start of basketball and covering football, basketball, and then doing the fantasy football podcast. We're trying to adjust the schedule just a little bit. So we are going to cover starts of the week and matchups today. Before we break into the starts of the week, we want to just shout out two of our partners, Underdog and Parlay Play. Two killer platforms if you enjoy DFS. If you use promo code Backdoor for either of those, Underdog will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash and also a free pick to help you cash your first slip. And Parlay Play will match your first deposit up to $100 and give you a $5 promo slip. So you get a slip over there. Just make sure you use code Backdoor when you're making your first deposit. Just make sure the code is in there because sometimes it doesn't get locked in just right. So, but yeah, shout out to those two platforms. We've been having a lot of fun on those. So you want to just jump right into starts of the week?
Yeah, man. Let's do it. I'll let you go first this time.
All right. And before I break into I'll start with my quarterback, but I just got to say, if any of you had the situation I did in my Dynasty League, I was down. I really needed the win this week, and I was down by less than a point, and game was over. I had lost. I was taking it rough because I was like, man, I can't. This is going to be an uphill battle if I want to make playoffs. And then the next day, it was showing I won. I had Bijan Robinson. They had a stat correction for one of his catches for 6 yards, and it switched me over to winning by 0.6 or something like that. So
I thought for sure you pulled some commissioner wizardry and gave yourself the win. I was like, what is going on? How does he got the win? I seen it at 3 a.m. I was up, my phone dinged, and I seen that the waiver claims went through, so I clicked on it, and I'm like, I thought he lost. I was like, this dude's been freaking out all night because he lost. I was like, and now he got the win. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out stat corrections.
I was so pumped. Poor dude. I had already tried to be, civil about it, and I was like, hey, good game. Because I put up 151 points, full PPR, and I was so devastated, and I lost by that much, and I was just like, good game, man. And we talked about it a little bit, me and the guy I was playing, and then the next day it was just like, oh, I won after all that. And that was pretty hard on homeboy, who's also fighting for a playoff spot, but that was a lot of fun. Anyways, getting to the starts of the week, my start of the week at quarterback is going to be Sam Darnold. I like him to get this done. Let's see what this over under is here. I think it's pretty high. Here we go. Yeah, it's not bad. 46.5 over under. Minnesota favored by 5.5. Playing in Minnesota, and I think that this is gonna turn into a shootout because we got Joe Flacco starting for the Colts now, which I think is the right move to make.
Absolutely.
And saying that as a dynasty Anthony Richardson owner, I would love to have seen him broke out this year, but he's not looking great, and he looks like he needs to sit behind a seasoned vet for a year. And checking himself out of the game, it's just it makes everybody look bad, So especially in such an important situation, they're trying to win that game. So I thought that I had already been talking about I would be okay if they benched him and just let him learn this year. And then actually the Colts can go make a run here, with Flacco. So because they've got the weapons. So Joe Flacco switching to be the starter is great news for every fantasy piece on there, from Jonathan Taylor to Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. It's just, they're all going to have a lot more upside with Flacco. But yeah, let's talk about Sam Darnold. This matchup's just great. So we have a pretty high over under, and As far as like prop plays and stuff like that, they actually have his 32 pass attempts favored to the over. So it's like juice to go over. So they're expecting him to be slinging the ball a decent amount of times. The passing yards matchup is solid, 24th in passing yards allowed. Um, and then passing touchdowns is not bad either, 17th in passing touchdowns allowed. So I'm feeling good about him getting this done. I think he'll be getting, and he gets another weapon back with Hawkinson returning this week. So I think Justin Jefferson is just going to like eat this week. So which he does pretty much every week, but I think in this match in particular, I think he's going to get it done. They also have the over for his passing touchdowns juice to go over -130, 1.5. So I think that this is a solid floor play, but I think that he could maybe have his best game of the year coming up this week. So I'm going to be rolling Darnold out as my QB start of the week. Who you got, Jordy?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Jameis Winston. I just can't get enough of this dude right now, dude. He's just been hilarious. And honestly, he's balling. Like, if you look at the stats in this last game, they played Baltimore. Baltimore is a pass funnel, so obviously he attacked that pretty hard, but it wasn't even like they took the under route type of thing, like where they're taking the short side of the field like all the rest of these people. This dude was throwing deep on Baltimore and just looked like he was just slicing and dicing them. He had 38 pass completions in this game. Or wait, no, this is the longest completion. Sorry. He had a 38 long completion. So the dude's throwing deep on the Ravens. That to me is like showing me how much, grit this guy's got. And also like coming out and completing 65% of your passes. Let's see what he had for pass attempts. So he had 41 pass attempts for 27 completions. 66% of those were completed. He threw 3 passing touchdowns against the Ravens. And he just looked really, really solid. And going into this matchup, 9th in passing yards allowed. When it comes to rushing yards, the quarterbacks, they're 20th. So he does scramble sometimes. So he has that going for him as well. But I like it here. I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I think, honestly, like to me, the Chargers passing defense has looked a little overrated this year. So I think he's going to go out there and just attack him right away, and I think he's going to have a big week. So it's just more of like a gut/fandom type play for me, but I really think that Jameis is going to keep playing pretty well.
Today is the day that the Lord has made.
Hey, amen.
when he said that in the interview, dude. I was like, this dude is feeling it right now. Like sure. I was cracking up when he said that. But
I love that clip of him where he's like, if you're born around water, he's like, you just got a different way about you. He's like on some podcast. I don't know what he was talking about, but it was hilarious.
Dude, and this is kind of like, this year is kind of turning into a situation where the NFL needs to re-examine just throwing these rookies in. Like not everyone is CJ Stroud. Like we were seeing, that with Bryce Young not looking good, not looking developed enough, Anthony Richardson. It's just like these quarterbacks like Darnold and Winston and Baker. It's like you're started. I don't know. There's just kind of like, I feel like we've gotten into this zone here where not everyone is Jaden Daniels either. So it's like not that they would need to overcorrect in the opposite way, but I applaud the Colts for saying we're going with Flacco. Like I think it's the right call. So all right, let's move on to running backs. My running back start of the week is going to be Alvin Kamara. He bounced back last week, and I like him to get things done this week, going up against Carolina. And we have Derek Carr back. We have a healthy Taysom Hill. Like we should, obviously it still sucks. There's no Rashid Shaheed, but I think that I'm kind of curious, actually. Let me take a look at this over under because I think that the Saints are going to want to pour it on this week with being on a 6-game losing streak. 43.5 point over under. Saints favored by 7.5 playing in Carolina. So yeah, I like Carr to help get this offense rolling. And I think that it's just going to open things up for Alvin Kamara here. Last week he went for 122 rushing and receiving yards. Now he's got this matchup here, 31st in rushing yards allowed, and then 10th in receiving yards allowed. But Alvin Kamara, he gets the majority of his work in not the majority, but he gets 60-40, like 40% of his work is through the air. Great pass catcher, obviously. And then if we take a look at the touchdowns matchup, 32nd in touchdowns allowed to running backs. So I just think, if this would be a totally different story if Carr wasn't back, but Carr making his return, I just think that the Saints offense is going to look totally different. And not only getting Carr back, but having Taysom too. And I'm not like too concerned about Taysom vulturing Kamara. I think that even if that happens, like at some point in the game, I still think Kamara is just going to eat in this game. It's just too juicy of a matchup. So yeah, I'm running Alvin Kamara. Who you taking?
Yeah, I'm going with James Cook. I think James Cook, obviously you're not going to not start James Cook, but this is just, in my opinion, the best running back value I see on the board this week. I totally agree with the Alvin Kamara thing, though. Like, Derek Carr coming back is going to just unlock that team again. I tried to defend my boy Spencer Rattler. I had my back against the wall for 3 weeks, but it wasn't panning out. But yeah, this matchup for James Cook against Miami, it's super solid. 22nd in rushing yards allowed, giving up 106 rushing yards a game. Excuse me. And this is a guy that has just been absolutely electric this year. Me and Russo both kind of said, like, okay, Stephon Diggs isn't on this team anymore. They had a hurt tight end coming into the season. Like, we kind of thought that, this was going to be an unlocking year for James Cook, and it has been. He's been really solid. Over the last 7 games, he's gone for 100 rushing yards in 5 of the 7 games. So the dude has been really, really good. Just looking at some of these Vegas lines they have set for him, like he's a -134 to score a rushing or receiving touchdown. He's a -131 to go over 15.5 rushing attempts. So I think they're going to just run the ball down their throat. I think this is a game that the Bills get up super early in and they just feed James Cook and, Davis and just let these guys finish the game out for him. But looking at the head-to-head and like what he's done against the Miami defense before, the last time he played them, the most recent game was last year, 9-12. He went for 95 rushing yards and 17 receiving yards. So pretty solid against them. And he actually scored in that game. Last year, his touchdowns were getting vultured all year long. But in that game last year, he scored 3 touchdowns. So in my opinion, I think James Cook's in for a big game here. Granted, the Dolphins did look better on offense. I don't think their defense looked any better. So they're 31st in rushing touchdowns as well. So the matchup couldn't be softer for James Cook. So loving what I'm seeing there.
All right. Well, moving on to wide receivers, I'm going to be taking A.J. Brown. This one is like, obviously, if you have AJ, you're starting him regardless, but I really love this matchup this week. Since he's returned, he's played 4 games and he's gone for 84 or more receiving yards in every game. And now he's got this matchup against the Jaguars, who are 29th in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers. And then also 26th in touchdowns allowed to wide receivers. He's gotten touchdowns in 3 of his 4 matchups. He didn't grab one last week against Cincinnati, but I think he's getting in the end zone in this matchup. If we take a look at the over-under, we have a 45.5 point over-under. Eagles favored by 7.5 playing in Philly. So this could turn into a situation where the Eagles just control this game, and it's the Saquon Barkley show. But I think that on their way to getting to that point, I think that AJ Brown is gonna get his. So I think that he's again a really strong floor, obviously, like he always is. But I think he's good for a touchdown this week. And the matchup is just too juicy. I think they're going to totally exploit this. So I'm going to be going with AJ this week. Who you got?
Enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code BACKDOOR. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code BACKDOOR.
All right, so my wide receiver is going to be Terry McLaurin. Looking at the matchup, I think it looks pretty good. The Giants are 16th in receiving touchdowns allowed. They are also, when it comes to receptions, they're 17th in receptions allowed to wide receivers. In this game, Terry McLaurin had 6 receptions. He actually didn't go for very many yards in this game, the last time they played this year. He only went for 22 yards. That was like the very first game of the year, though. Jaden Daniels was, or his second game, sorry, they played Tampa Bay first, but Jaden Daniels was still kind of seeing what kind of weapons he had and getting used to the offense. And then after that, Terry McLaurin's just been off to the races. 100 receiving yards, 62, 112, 53, 98, and 125 in the latest game. So, and that was against Chicago. So I think he's going to right the ship against this matchup this time. I think he'll go off. Like I said, he had 8 targets for 7 receptions in that last game. He was just only averaging 3.7 yards per catch, and he was targeted 3 times in the red zone. So the targets were there. If he would have caught those red zone targets, I mean, he would have been, having a monster game. So like, if you look at his fantasy scores this game and what he's put up in full PPR, he's gone for 20, 18, 14, 23, 15, and 17 in the last 6 games. The first 2 games, he only had 3 and 8. So you could see that his trend has gone through the roof, and he's just been going nuts with the fantasy score lately. So I like him to be my wide receiver of the week for sure, and that's going to be what I'm taking.
Sweet. All right, moving on to tight ends. I'm going to be taking Kyle Pitts. 4 straight games with 65 or more yards. His last outing, he went nuts, 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. Should have been 1, but, that's just being honest. And then before that 2 touchdown game, though, he actually went 6 straight games without a touchdown. So I like him to just be able to eat this week playing against the Cowboys, who have just been absolutely horrendous on both sides of the ball.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
But actually, I think this is going to be a fun matchup here. As usual, Cowboys are in desperation mode. 51.5 point over under. Falcons favored by just 3, playing in Atlanta. I think that's kind of cute that they're making the spread so small. But sorry, I always got to roast Jordy a little bit about the Cowboys.
Hey,
but
they deserve it right now. Fire away.
But yeah, Cowboys currently 29th in touchdowns allowed to tight ends, and 17th in receiving yards allowed to tight ends. So Pitts has he's been getting more involved, and the Falcons look a little bit better every week, I feel like, right now. And I'm thankful that this split backfield has changed too. I'm so happy that Bijan, when he's healthy, he is getting like bell cow usage. So that was going to be my start of the week at running back. But I chose to go with Alvin Kamara. Not that I like Kamara better than Bijan, but I just felt like Kamara was like a little bit more of a reach because Bijan's just like an auto start, and Kamara pretty much is too. But anyways, I think that this is going to be a fun game. So I'm definitely going to be taking Kyle Pitts as my tight end start of the week. Who you got?
Sweet. I'm going with my guy Mark Andrews. I'm really excited to see Mark Andrews doing Mark Andrews-esque things again. It was a very rocky road for the first couple games. I was really starting to put all these trade scenarios through my head, and I was thinking about jumping ship for a while, and I sent some crazy offers to people, and no one bit, thank God, because I was looking at the offers I sent. I'm like, what was I thinking? That was the most one-sided trade for that person ever. And they didn't take it because that's how bad these guys were playing through the first couple games. Isaiah Likely went nuclear in that first game. I had both of them, and I had no idea which one to start. And then they both started doing nothing, so I picked up Tyler Conklin, and I was just praying for the best. But now I'm just like setting it and forgetting it with Mark Andrews. He's going to be my guy from here on out. He's been playing really well. Over the last 4 games, his fantasy score, he's gone for 9, 15, 20, and 14. In some really tough matchups too. So he's definitely been righting the ship a little bit, and they're getting back on track with Mark Andrews. And I honestly think they were kind of playing hooky with how hurt he actually was in the beginning of the year, because he just didn't look right. If you watch the tape and you watch the games early on in the year, there was no separation. There was no finding the soft spot. He was just kind of blocking and just being out there as like a visual threat. But now he's really actually been putting it together. So going to this matchup, Denver's 12th in receiving yards allowed, and they're giving up 43.2 receiving yards per game to tight ends. And that's honestly seems about right. That's probably what he'll do, around 40 to 50 receiving yards. But where Mark Andrews is really dangerous is in the red zone. Over the last 3 games, he scored in all 3 games. Against Washington, he scored 2 touchdowns against Tampa Bay, who are like top 5 defense against tight ends. And then he scored another touchdown last week against Cleveland. So him scoring the ball is what I'm looking for from Mark Andrews. He's one of those guys like last year. He had a tight end. He had he had a touchdown in 6 of those 11 games he played last year. Obviously, he got really hurt. So he's already off to a pretty decent start coming back in and getting these touchdowns going again. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. I think he can easily get over a 13-14 fantasy score in this game. I'm hoping, with Denver being so tough through the air and with their run defense, I think that they're going to have to try to find Mark Andrews a lot in this game. So it's a consensus. It's I'm drawing up my own play here for him, but hopefully he comes through for me and he's my start of the week. So, I feel comfortable saying that this week.
Yeah, man, coming into this year, we were talking about how like what are teams going to focus on, Lamar or Derrick Henry in the red zone? And how hard is that going to be to gauge? Not even thinking about the fact that they're focusing on those guys and they can just dump it off to Mark Andrews. Yeah. It's like this team is absolutely terrifying at the 5-yard line.
No doubt.
They're really putting it together. It seems like every week they are figuring out a little bit more. It's like they haven't even fully unlocked what they can do, and now they just brought in Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I seen this stat I wanted to bring up. This is so wild. I posted this in our Discord the other day, and I was just like absolutely dumbfounded by what I was reading. Let me quickly find it here. Okay, so the rushing yard leaders through, where are we at here? Sorry, I know I got it on here. I have to bring this up. This is just the craziest stat line. It's about Derrick Henry and the rushing yards he's put up since being in the NFL, and it's pretty bonkers. I mean, he I might have to come back to this. I can't find it on my phone now. But listen, this coffee's gonna kick in. I'm gonna be firing on all cylinders. All right. Okay, here we go. The most rushing yards since 2018 in the NFL. Derrick Henry has 9,885 rushing yards. Number 2 is Derrick Henry with yards after contact at 7,028 rushing yards after contact. The closest person that even comes close to him in regular rushing yards is Nick Chubb with 6,500, and then Zeke with 6,400. So he's got more rushing yards and yards after contact since 2018 than like the top 10 running backs in the league since then. So it's pretty wild what he's capable of.
It is.
And that took me a while to find. Yeah, it was really important news. I had to get it out there.
But also, like thinking back to that first episode when we were reacting to the likely news, it's like we were just like passing the torch for Mark Andrews, anointing Isaiah Likely as like this was the game, man. It's
we need to go take that episode down.
Yeah. All right, let's break down this Sunday slate. First game on the board is Cowboys versus Falcons. This is gonna be a fun one. Yeah, 51.5 point over under. Atlanta favored by 3.5, according to ESPN. Yeah, I mean, like this should be. I really think this is going to be an entertaining game. Like the spread is actually pretty close, and my God, CeeDee Lamb went absolutely nuts in that last game. But yeah, solid matchup for Bijan. I think that like your regular pieces are going to look good in this game.
Yeah, I'm contemplating starting Dak this week over Lamar. Lamar's got a tough matchup, and when you look at the matchup on paper for Dak Prescott, like 32nd in completion percentage, Atlanta is to quarterbacks. They're also 24th in passing attempts against, so they're allowing a lot, and they're 20th in passing yards allowed and 24th in passing touchdowns. So it's a pretty good passing matchup. I think CD and Dak should definitely eat in this game. I'm trying to make a case here. Quit cracking a grin because I'm digging my boys out of a trench here.
You're talking about eating. I'm like, is he eating over there? I keep hearing like some chewing or something.
Sorry, I'm smacking. It's the coffee. I was chewing a little bit of ice, but
because I can't see Jordy, so yeah. I don't know.
I get to do whatever I
want. But yeah, not really too much to overthink to break down in this game. You know, like I'm staying away from all the running backs on the Cowboys side for fantasy until I see a little bit of consistency there. If you're absolutely in a pinch, like sure, maybe Dowdle at the flex, but it's like you just don't know what that's going to look like. You know, maybe like 8 to 10 points, unless but he could surprise us and have a good game. Like it's just hard to gauge. So I'm avoiding Dowdle in any situation if I can. I think there are better pieces out there. But yeah, Darnell Mooney. I like Mooney. I like Pitts. I think both quarterbacks are a solid start for fantasy, and then Bijan obviously. But I mean, if I had Dowdle and Tyler Algier, I might even be starting Algier over with this rushing matchup. It could definitely turn into the type of thing where we see both of these running backs get like a decent amount of snaps. So yeah, we'll see about that. All right, next game, Dolphins playing against the Bills in Buffalo. We have a 49.5 point over under, Buffalo favored by 6. We already know that you like James Cook this week.
Yep.
Josh Allen, no one's benching him. Amari Cooper's been questionable this week. So Keon Coleman, I don't know, he's not like hurt or anything, is he?
I don't think so. I mean,
I haven't heard anything about that.
He might be after the way he's been playing. Dude's been going off.
He has. No, just Amari Cooper and Curtis Samuel.
Okay.
So yeah, I think Keon Coleman has been looking solid for a rookie. It's like I'm still waiting for Dalton Kincaid to look like, you know, like I just was expecting so much more with the absence of 2 of their top wide receivers. We were talking so much about the red zone looks. You know, 80% of their red zone looks last year were Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. So we thought like, dang, Kincaid's going to go nuts. But they've been mixing it up, mixing in Dawson Knox as well. So
I can't wait to see more of this Mitchell Trubisky rushing attack that they were trying to use last week. 3 rush attempts for -3 yards. That was really productive. I can't wait to see that again.
These guys are getting tricky with the play calling. But
I wonder why he's in the game.
On the Dolphins side of things, obviously Achane. I think I'm the one who needs some coffee over here. I like Achane. Tyreek Hill is questionable. Hopefully he ends up playing. It's probably just like a load management type of thing if he's missing some practices, but let me just pull it up just to see his most recent practice report, because this actually affects me in Dynasty. Let's see. No, he's ready to go. So yeah, ESPN is still listing him as questionable, but Sleeper is not. Sleeper says he's good to go. He's ready for week 9. That makes me happy.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Raiders versus Bengals. 45.5 point over under. Cincinnati favored by 7, playing in Cincinnati.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Raiders looked pretty solid against the Chiefs last week. Whether or not that's just like them playing the Chiefs thing, which it probably is. I don't know. I mean, what's his name? Gardner played really, really well last week. I mean, he had let's see what he did here. He threw 30 pass attempts, completed 24 of them for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So very, very clean game. The problem is Alexander Madison had 14 carries for 15 yards. So I'm not sure if I was suited up out there, but that's not going to cut it when it comes to running the ball. But everything else looked great. Jacoby Myers looks really, really solid.
Yeah, and on the Bengals side of things, Chase Brown, solid start this week. Zach Moss is doubtful. T. Higgins doubtful. So, maybe a little bit of Andre Yosevich as well, sure. If T. Higgins is out. But obviously Brock Bowers, that dude's an every week smash start.
Yeah, I think Jacoby's going to be interesting from here on out. He just came back and already 6 receptions for 52 yards and a touchdown. And he's a dog. I mean, when he was with the Patriots last year, he was like the only bright spot to that team. So, him being with the Raiders now, I think him and Gardner are going to have a pretty solid connection.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen him pop off and look elite too in the past. So, all right, Chargers versus Browns. Playing in Cleveland. Cleveland is going to be so, like, they've got to be so happy with Winston. I think that this crowd's going to be very involved.
Yeah.
41.5 point over under. Chargers favored by 1.5. Obviously, we're starting Dobbins, Herbert, Lad McConkey. Let's see the injury report.
Yeah, McConkey is single-handedly bringing my redraft team back to life. I'm like, I love this kid, man.
Yeah, he's a baller.
Yeah.
Yeah, no real significant injuries this week for either team. So yeah, it is a tough matchup for Dobbins, but you're not going to not start him.
Yeah.
I will say on the Browns side of things, like if you were able to get your hands on Cedric Tillman, I'm absolutely confident in starting him. He's just looked awesome. I mean, Winston is getting everybody involved. So these pass catchers are absolutely relevant now, which is really exciting for fantasy.
Yeah, Nick Chubb's looking solid again too. He's looking like he's kind of, maybe
still shaking off the rust a little bit, but
I think so. But
getting a little bit better each week.
Getting in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, they trust him in the red zone, which is nice.
Yep.
But yeah, man, Tillman, I think this dude's just going to keep getting better each week.
Yeah.
Very excited. I landed him in a couple redraft leagues. All right. Yeah, that about covers it. I think Will Dissly is questionable.
I think Will Dissly's dead after that performance he put on. I was cracking up so hard when they were just feeding him, and he comes to the sideline and pulls his helmet off, and he has like no hair, and he just looked like he was like 48 years old, and he sat on the bench and just looked dead. I was like, that guy's not coming back.
Yeah, he's like he hasn't had like a huge breakout game yet, but he was looking great. Like the only thing he didn't do in that game against Arizona was get in the end zone, but 8 receptions for 81 yards.
Yeah,
that's awesome. 11 targets, and then the following week against New Orleans, when he wasn't like 100%, still 7 targets, 5 receptions, 41 yards. They're saying he's completely off the injury report now.
Yep.
So I think he's like a reliable start, just week after week, because the connection looks great with Herbert. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So the solid floor with a lot of upside week to week.
Like, it is so impressive how good Justin Herbert has been. The dude came into this year with like nothing for offensive weapons, and they've turned this year into something insane. Like, obviously Dobbins panned out, but the dude was like, you got Quentin Johnson, who is leading the league in drops, and then you got all these like horrible narratives surrounding him, and the dude's just balling out. So like it shows you how good he actually is.
Yeah, he's amazing, and I'm so happy that plantar's foot issue has not been a problem yet. But man, that was so dirty, that play last week, where where that dude was just like wrenching his leg.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Dude, yeah, that lineman crushed that guy too, though. That O lineman who
Yeah.
saw it happen just dropped all his weight on the guy.
Rightfully so, man.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they threw the flag, thankfully, but
Yeah.
that's like, you can't do that, man. That's like not cool.
Nah, that was like as bad as Ndamukong Suh back in the day stepping on Aaron Rodgers' leg. Like,
Yeah.
it's just bad.
All right, Patriots versus Titans. 2-6 versus 1-6, playing in Tennessee. But the Titans are starting. I mean, they look way better with Rudolph than they do Levis, obviously.
Yeah, they got 52 hung on him last week.
Yeah, the defense got, I mean, against the Lions, but they came out and scored.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns in the first half. Pollard is questionable. Let's see. Pollard and Tajay are questionable. Let me see if I can find an update about this. Because I think they'll be okay if one of them are good to go. Okay, so yesterday Pollard was sidelined. Let's check on Spears. Neither of them practiced yesterday.
Julius Chestnut, baby. Smash start of the week.
Yeah. But I mean, this could be pretty pass heavy, but man, Calvin Ridley looked amazing last week. I like him to be able to keep it up. I hope that they just keep him this involved. This is what they should have been doing the whole time. It's what they told us they were going to be doing. He practiced in full yesterday. He was dealing with a little bit of a shoulder, but man, 15 targets, 10 receptions, 143 yards. You love to see it. Like, no touchdown, still goes for 25.6 fantasy score. That's referencing our dynasty league that is full PPR. Plus we have a 3-point bonus for eclipsing 100 yards. So that's a little bit juiced up from what you guys probably play, but still he's like knocking on the door of, 20 fantasy points, 22 fantasy points without the bonus attached. So, and that's against Detroit, which is a pass funnel. But yeah, I mean, I think that you can absolutely trust Ridley. And if they're in a situation where they don't have Pollard or Spears, like, that's honestly more targets because both those guys are good pass catchers.
Yeah.
As far as the Patriots side of things, so Drake May is questionable. I wonder how close he is to being able to play. Let's take a look. Could play Sunday. It's just a concussion protocol. He was like limited Friday. So yeah, we'll see. Patriots have a lot of things to figure out, obviously. New coaching staff, young team, like, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would think the Patriots could go out and win this game after beating the Jets, but
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Hunter Henry, kind of in the same place Will Dissly is. Solid start every week, but we've seen him pop off like in week 2 when he went for 8 receptions for 109 yards. That was a solid outing, but at least he's established himself as the tight end 1. Last 2 weeks, 87% of snaps, and then 85% of snaps. Seeing 9 targets, 6 targets, went for 8 and 5. So he's catching everything thrown his way pretty much. So I think that he's like a solid floor start if you need someone at tight end. Yep. All right. What do we got next here? Commanders versus Giants. Commanders favored by 4, playing in New York, 45.5 point over under. Now, Jaden Daniels is a little bit banged up, I believe. He's a little questionable. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, limited with the rib injury again yesterday.
Yeah, I imagine he'll start, but just keep being limited in practice until that's healed up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
yeah, obviously
they're like wrapping his ribs up on the sideline and everything in that last game. Every time you go to the sideline, they put this massive band around his ribs.
So Brian Robinson has been dealing with a hamstring, but it looks like he was able to get in a limited practice yesterday on Thursday. So I think it's something, again, similar to the rib. It's like they're just managing it.
Yeah.
So he should be good to go. But yeah, I mean, for fantasy, Brian Robinson, I think it just depends on how this Commanders offense gets going, because once they get rolling, everybody's involved. So they're very clever with their play calling. Obviously, you're starting Jaden Daniels. I'm comfortable starting Brian Robinson Jr. Zach Ertz is a solid tight end start. Jordy start of the week, Terry McLaurin. Pretty much your normal pieces are good to go for fantasy. And then we saw Tyrone Tracy like officially take over that backfield, which is impressive. It's only week 8 and they gave him the reins, which was awesome to see.
Yeah. What's he looking like? Is he probably out?
Is he out?
No, he's cleared. Oh, he cleared concussion protocol. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't even see a tag on him.
Well, I'm definitely
he's good
starting
to go.
him this week because Tank Bigsby is questionable. So,
and you got that upside with Tyrone. Like if he's getting the bulk of the carries, if they get behind, that's not a threat to him, because he's such a good pass catcher. So
yeah,
I think that's a really solid pickup you got for Dynasty.
For sure.
In our rookie draft. Definitely a little jealous of what that could turn into, because he already looks so good as a rookie.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors, obvious start. And then it's kind of a toss-up of what other receivers are relevant. You also loved Theo Johnson coming into the year.
Yeah.
And I think that he looks great, but he just needs more work.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the game, they target him 2 more times, and he has 2 meaningful first down catches. And, they had 1 target or 2 targets for like a majority of the game and only 1 reception. In our picks show, I took him for over 1.5 receptions. And I'm like, every time the guy touches the ball, he's a monster out there. Like, if you guys have seen the size of this dude, like he's 6'6", but they said he's like really like 6'7", but he's 270 pounds. So he's a massive dude, and he moves really, really well. So like when he gets out in open space, the guy is a really hard tackle. So he fights for extra yardage. I'm just like, get the ball in this guy's hands. Like I don't really know. Once they figure out what kind of a weapon this guy is, I think he's really going to start to take off. But the snap count looks great. He's getting 80% every week or higher. Last game against Pittsburgh, he had a 97% snap share, 4 targets for 3 receptions for 35 yards. He was averaging 11 yards per catch though. So, if he can just get involved, like this guy's going to be a really, really big weapon for them.
Yeah, weren't you telling me is this one of the tight ends that used to be a basketball player?
Yeah,
or had a little bit of basketball.
Yeah, he was. He put on like 40 pounds to play football, but he used to be like a 220-pound like forward for basketball, and the dude's super athletic. So when you see him move out there, he looks super athletic, but he's a monster.
Yeah.
Like the guy is a massive dude. He put on a ton of mass for football, so he looks awesome. I'm really excited to see what that turns into.
It's really cool when you see that transition, because it's like quarterbacks that used to be pitchers or used to play baseball. They just have like a different zip on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Pat Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, like they just they have like a different, it just looks a little different when they're throwing the ball. Same thing with these basketball players that convert to football. They have they're like these contested catch, like guys, they can get really high up, it's like, it's really cool to see. So, all right. Next up, we got Saints versus Panthers playing in Carolina. This is crazy that the Saints are 2-6 with the hot start they had.
Yeah.
They put up like 90 points in the first 2 weeks and then lose 6 straight. Obviously dealing with a lot of injuries and incompetent backups at quarterback, unfortunately.
He's only saying that because I was defending him.
But the Panthers, so 43.5 point over under. Saints only favored by 7. That's kind of crazy, but I guess they never get. I mean, yeah, that seems a little low to me. We'll see.
Watch Bryce Young just go out there and starch the Saints.
Yeah. What is the situation with Dalton? Oh, so Dalton logged a full practice. That changes things a little bit.
Yeah. I seen that the Panthers are looking for potential trades for Bryce.
Oh, it's going to be one of those situations, a little Trey Lance action.
Yeah.
So they're still planning on starting Bryce Young this week, but they haven't officially announced it. Who's going to be the starter the remainder of the season?
I'd be surprised if it's Bryce. I would also not be surprised if they're trying to let him maybe log a good couple games. Yeah, and then try to get rid of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's a rough story you got there. It's like CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels and like these types of guys are just making it worse for him. But
and Deontay Johnson's a Raven now, so there ain't much left other than Xavier Legette. They're in full rebuild. They already were, but now it's even worse because you don't have picks. So it's like you're just
so they don't want to win games, but they don't have picks. But man, they really got themselves into a mess.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
So yeah, Chuba Hubbard should still get a solid workload. How are things looking with Jonathan Brooks? He's been like on the pup so unlikely for week 9. They're just easing it along. They've got no reason to like risk anything with him.
I'd be surprised if we even see him this year at this point. Maybe like the last 4 games of the year, they let him get in there and
let him start acclimating a little bit.
Yeah, get some feelers out there. But yeah, I'd be surprised if we see much of him.
And then Chuba Hubbard is totally fine. He has a questionable tag. Oh no, Xavier Legette does. So yeah, I'm probably just like staying away from all things Panthers except for Chuba.
Yeah,
this week.
I really do like what's his name though? Their receiver that they got.
Legette?
No, the other kid. What's his name? Jalen Coker. This kid's really interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is.
Six targets for 4 receptions for 78 yards and a touchdown. He looks really good.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he looks pretty solid. My brother was really high on him coming into this year, and he kind of opened my eyes to like the athletic potential this guy has, and he definitely looks really solid. So he's definitely one to maybe snag in a dynasty league. Just hold on to him because I think he could be a big part of the offense moving forward.
Yeah, Steve Smith did a whole thing on him early on.
Yeah.
Before the season started, I almost snagged him, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna wait. And then your brother snagged him like 4 hours later.
Yeah, me and him watched that video together too. And Steve Smith said that this is the best route runner in the draft. So that's high praise coming from one of the best ever to do it. So at 6'3", 213 pounds, he's from college, the Holy Cross, so he's not a very widely known person, so you could probably go out and snag him pretty easily. Only 64% owned in Dynasty, so that tells you everything you need to know right there.
Yeah, he may pop off this week actually.
Yeah,
with no Deontay if Andy Dalton ends up getting the start, and then Xavier Legette. Like, let me just look at Legette's. Who knew we were going to be spending this much time on the Panthers versus the Saints?
Well, it's interesting because there could be some really interesting value for fantasy implications with them.
Yeah, they're not giving us a lot of info here.
You can't go wrong with owning either one of these guys, Legette or Coker, because they're both 23 years old. They're both 6'3". Legette is a bigger build, so he's more of your Deebo Samuel type player, and his mentor is literally Deebo Samuel, so he looks up to him and try to model his game after Deebo. So you always love to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like Coker and Legette will be, solid building blocks for the future for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on. Okay. So next up, we got Broncos versus Ravens. Both teams 5-3, playing in Baltimore. 46.5 point over under. Ravens favored by 9.5.
Yeah, this one's going to be fun. I mean, I really have no idea who could win this like game or whatever. Like, I do know that Bo Nix is looking better and better every week. He's just really putting it together and starting to look pretty savvy, honestly. He was like one of my favorites coming out of the draft. I was really high on him, and everyone just kind of thought he was going to be a bust. But I mean, each week the dude's quarterback rating has grown. He started with a 47, 85, 117, 87, 97, and a 124. So each week it seems like he's getting better and better. His completion percentage has gone up 20% since the beginning of the year. So he's really getting comfortable in this offense that's really hard to learn. So I think for him to like already be looking this solid, 9 weeks in, I think it's just going to get better and better for him. And I think the Broncos finally found their guy. But
yeah, I think so too. And they're figuring a little bit more out each week, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Someone who I'm excited that I was able to snag in Dynasty is actually Adam Troutman, the tight end for the Broncos.
Yeah.
He was actually, recruited by Sean Payton for the Saints. Sean Payton was calling this guy the next George Kittle. So when Sean Payton is like high on a dude, because this dude's 6'5", 253 pounds, and he's like one of the best blocking tight ends, which is something that's why he made the comparison to Kittle. So he's a really solid blocker, but he can also get active. Like last week, he didn't have like a ton of targets. He had 4 targets, but he turned that into 4 yards. I'm sorry, not 4 yards.
Yeah.
4. He turned that into 4 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. So
right.
Averaging 21.25 yards per catch. So
Awesome.
It's fun, like a couple weeks ago we had Sean Payton coming out and saying we're going to get the rookies more involved. We need these guys. And he's not a rookie, but he's a guy who wasn't getting like regular snaps, they were mixing things up. And Greg Dulcich is going to be off this team. He's so in the doghouse with Sean Payton at this point, which we were like high on Dulcich for a minute. He showed some upside, a couple years ago, but so a pick that I went and got for super cheap, he was just on the waiver wire, and I'm like, dude, okay, like he just got 56% of snaps isn't much, but I'll stash him on the bench, especially for Dynasty. I'm not going to be stashing him for redraft. Right. I don't think that this is going to like come to fruition this year, but I love this for the long haul, just to wait and see for Dynasty.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously it's pretty easy to know who to start for the Ravens. But Javonte always has like a solid floor. Didn't Cortland Sutton pop off last week after he had like 0 targets?
Yeah, I think he went for like 8 catches or something.
Yeah, let me see. 8 catches, 100 yards, 11 targets.
I feel like it's just one of those situations with the Broncos where it's like you never know who's going to pop off. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons. Clearly, these guys are all young. They're all really talented. So it's just like who's going to get the hot hand and who is Bo Nix going to force feed. And I think that's kind of what you're dealing with a little bit, because we've seen Devon Valet. We've seen, Troy Franklin. Yeah, we've seen all of them kind of pop off now. So I think they'll all settle into a role eventually. But I think for right now, with Bo Nix being so young and just learning everybody and learning the timing with everyone, I think it's just going to be a little hit or miss on who you actually want to like start every week with these guys.
Yeah, I am comfortable starting Sutton this week, though, in this matchup. For sure, because it's going to be they're going to be playing from behind, most likely, and it's a pass funnel defense. So
yeah, I guess I said that wrong. Other than like your
no, I agree though.
Like your typicals, the main running back and like Sutton. I feel like it's gonna be a hit or miss on like who else is going off, I guess.
And I mean, it could be another. I mean, we just right before last week, we saw Sutton go for 0 targets. So it goes to your point, you know, like, but after coming off that big game with this matchup, I think that he's the one that is like somewhat of a, like if I had him, I mean, like depends on who you have on your squad, but
right.
All right, Jaguars versus Eagles. 45.5 point over under. Eagles favored by 7.5, playing in Philly. We talked a little bit about this. I got AJ Brown as my start of the week at wide receiver.
Yeah, another game, another doubtful tag for Travis Etienne. It's looking like he's not going to play again. He's a game time decision, so we'll see. But Tank Bigsby is also questionable, but they're saying he's good to go.
Good.
With an ankle, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna be probably just rolling out Tyron Tracy this week, but I also have Tank Bigsby. I never expected to be in this good of a situation with like the young guys on my dynasty squad with running backs. Like I'm fighting with myself every week on like who do I start, Tyron Tracy or Tank Bigsby, and it's an awesome situation to be in. But it, I think it's just becoming a matchup thing with these two guys now because they're both getting all the work. So, Tank Bigsby is looking awesome. Like we were telling you guys early on, that ship has sailed on now. Hopefully you guys went and got him when we were telling you to, but that guy could be a dynasty winner if he really settles in and they start playing well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Brian Thomas Jr. With the chest injury, they're calling it a game time decision on Sunday. So for me, he's on my dynasty team. I'll probably be utilizing that sleeper auto sub.
Yeah.
Because if he's playing, it's against Philly, but Christian Kirk is out for the year. So I can't wait to see what Brian Thomas Jr. can start doing when he's fully healthy with no Christian Kirk out there. So that's why, sleeper trending had Parker Washington. And I think Gabe Davis might be good to go.
I didn't know that about Christian Kirk. What happened then?
I'm not totally sure. I know he's on IR. I can pull it up real quick. Surgery on broken clavicle.
It sounds like your
so it's collarbone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
He's done for the year. Well, he's on IR, but I think after the surgery, he's probably done.
Back from a broken collarbone this year.
And then Gabe Davis shoulder game time decision. Oof, they're dealing with it. So Parker Washington, not the most exciting matchup against Philly, but the volume's going to be there. And good Lord, Travis Etienne is going to, not Etienne, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram should have been my start of the week. That dude's going to get so many targets.
I know, now I'm contemplating on if I actually do just roll out Tank because they might just run the ball a lot.
Dude, yeah. And Ingram is totally good to go. So he's probably going to be the target leader if Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis aren't good to go, or even if they're like they can play but they're not 100%.
Yeah.
Either way, I think Evan Ingram goes off as far as like targets. We'll see what he can turn that into, but yeah, solid for Ingram this week. Obviously, I like AJ Brown. Dallas Goedert is out. Darius Slay is out. So on the Eagles side of things, we don't have to tell you to start Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, we just have to, all of us Saquoners have to cry as Jalen Hurts gets pushed in to the end zone by Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you at least get half of the points for that? Because he's the one pushing him from behind. But
yeah, it's not good when Barkley is excited talking about how that's such a good idea.
I know. I'm like, dude, stop talking like that. Be upset about it. And he's like, literally, that's all he wants to do. He's like, he's like, it makes the most sense in the world to like push him into the end zone. I'm like, would you shut your mouth? He's like, the guy who squats 500 pounds pushing the guy who squats 600 pounds. I'm like, all right, I've heard enough.
Dude, that is a pretty wild force though when you got 1,100 pounds of pressure coming at you.
Yeah. Plus whatever those monster linemen can push. I can only imagine.
Yeah. It's for real. Like, how do you stop that? All right. So Bears versus Cardinals, playing in Arizona. 45.5 point over under. Arizona favored by 2.
Okay.
Arizona is leading the NFC West.
Yeah. That's a
I
lot
don't
of
know
respect.
if y'all have heard, but I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Trey McBride, I love having him. I have him in tons of leagues. Like, I just like, it's just a win-win for me as a big Cardinals fan. That Trey McBride happens to be one of the better tight ends in the league this year, and just a easy start each week.
Yep.
This is a great matchup for the Chicago fantasy pieces, though. DeAndre Swift should have a good outing. Keenan Allen is good to go, right? He's not dealing with anything. You just always got to check on this dude.
I know. Yeah, looks like he's good to go.
Cool.
Not even a tag or nothing.
Yeah, Keenan. We'll see if DJ Moore starts popping off a little bit.
Yeah, Keenan Allen just struggled to get anything going in that last game. He had 7 targets, but only 2 receptions. But he had 40 yards, so the work was there. He just couldn't haul him in. Luckily, I did not need him to do much because I had to start him last week. But I was able to get the dub without him.
Wait, did yeah. Once again, it's kind of weird seeing DJ Moore not really doing much.
Yeah, he's definitely not happy
weeks.
either. You can tell like his body language is not great. They're winning, so that should be all that matters to him. But these guys, man, they like to get fed, you know. And Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen have definitely been the comfortable targets, as well as Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet, I mean, last week he only had 1 target for 1 reception, but it seems like everyone else is getting involved but DJ Moore. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they trade him eventually, or maybe they just try to get him involved, but his body language does not look great.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for Marvin Harrison Jr., but man, he looked good last week. 7 targets, 6 receptions, 111 yards and a touchdown. Cardinals went and got that win in Miami. That was nice.
I was happy to see how they used him too, because Kyler just kind of let go of like all of the worries about the defense and just started throwing it up to him. And the dude came down with so many contested catches in that game. And it's like, that's what he is. That's who he is. He's like a tight end. Like, he's going to go up and get the ball. The difference is he's running at like 4.3 speed. So he's just a super athlete.
Yeah, just let him go and win those contested catches. So yeah, I'm totally comfortable starting him, but it is a tough matchup against Chicago.
Yeah.
James Conner, every week start. Don't have to overthink that one. And this is like this shouldn't be too tough of a matchup for Caleb Williams if he can just get things rolling a little bit. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Lions versus Packers. It's a big slate.
Fireworks, this one.
If Jordan Love is good to go.
I don't hate Malik Willis. I think the offense looks a whole lot different with Malik in the game, but I think that that dude is really dangerous on his feet.
Yeah, LaFleur figures out. He adjusts well. LaFleur is such a good coach, man.
Yeah, he is. I thought I didn't like him for a while, but I like him. I'm not a huge Packers fan, but yeah, he's a very good coach, and I realized the one I cannot stand at all is the Eagles coach. I just
Nick Sirianni.
Dude, that guy.
You won't even say his name.
I can't say his name, dude. He's like Voldemort in this house. I'm like, no one say Nick Sirianni, but that guy he's just a case. Well, we won't get into all that, but LaFleur's got that thing running like a well-oiled machine. I mean, it's just plug and play right now. Obviously, it looks a whole lot different. It's not the same, but he definitely has a whole different offense when Malik's out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Obviously, it's better for the pass catchers if Jordan Love plays.
Yeah.
Better for Josh Jacobs if Malik Willis plays, because they're just like RPO most of the time. But it's saying that Jordan Love, he had that groin injury, which sucks. That's one you can't really play through if you're in pain.
Yeah.
but they said that he got in limited practice Thursday and today, Friday, and they're still figuring out whether or not he's going to be able to play.
Okay.
They have the 4:25 p.m. game Eastern, so we'll see what the status is tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
on the other side of the ball, I don't think there's a quarterback in the NFL who's playing as good as Jared Goff. Like, honestly, when it comes to just straight up quarterbacking, not like being MVP caliber, like playmaker, but just facilitating the ball, being the quarterback, the traditional quarterback, Jared Goff is playing the best football I've seen when it comes to consistency. Like, the dude is such a sniper. Like, he hasn't turned the ball over since week 2. And he's just been super consistent. Almost 3 passing touchdowns a game since then. His completion percentage is just ungodly high. I think it's like 70-something%. So the dude is just completing everything, and he's got that team is just so consistent. I mean, my God, the Lions look so freaking good.
They do. Yeah, the main pieces for fantasy on the Lions, you're just starting them up every week, you know,
absolutely.
regardless of matchup. This is like a little bit of a tough matchup because Green Bay's been kind of sneaky on defense, but yeah, I mean, 47.5 point over under Detroit, favored by 3. So this is going to be a fun game for sure.
Yep.
All right. Rams versus Seahawks. This will also be fun. Rams, I mean, they won that game last week against Minnesota. I don't think that, but that was a very unfortunate missed call on the face mask. But still, what the Rams did on offense can't be ignored. They went and took that game over. But this is going to be interesting. Rams improved to 3-4. This is such a stacked division, this NFC West, and then Seahawks 4-4. So the Rams really want this win, obviously. 48.5 point over under. Rams favored by 1 point. So this should be a close one.
It'll be interesting because Puka Nacua is questionable, but 2 hours ago, Sean McVay said there's nothing structurally wrong with Puka's knee, and he'll be a questionable tag for Sunday's game against the Seahawks. He said, my expectation is he was going to do everything in his power to be ready to roll. So he probably plays, but they're probably just limiting him through practice and keeping him healthy. But, you know.
We didn't even know up until the game, the day of the game last week, if he was going to even be activated.
Yeah.
And
boy, was he ever.
He just goes out and gets like all of the targets. It looked great.
Activated like a Terminator. Six targets for 7 receptions for 106 yards, 15 yards per catch. Like, the dude is such
He only had 6 targets?
No, 9 targets. Sorry.
Oh, 9. I was like, it looked like a lot more than that.
I said 6 targets for 7 receptions. That makes a lot of sense. But 9 targets for 7 receptions, 106 yards. So insane performance for a guy who's just coming off of, IR.
Yeah. Seahawks better be careful. They need this win too.
Yeah, I will say, though, I love Kenneth Walker this week with the Rams rushing defense. Kenneth Walker should have a huge day.
It's really hurting them not having DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
And he's out again this week. So
people don't realize what a good blocker he is. Like, the dude sets so many edge blocks for the run game. So he has a big part in their whole offense for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do like JSN with Metcalf being out, and Tyler Lockett a little bit. I just think JSN is going to be the guy, between these two, to step up and not do what Metcalf does, but I think his targets go up.
Oh yeah.
And then this defense isn't too scary. I know they put up a good performance in that game, better than expected against the Vikings, but yeah, obviously Kyren is just like an every week smash start. So is Kenneth Walker. But yeah, other than the main pieces, like that, I'm not really getting cute with starting guys that aren't like just pivotal pieces in this game.
Yeah.
For fantasy. All right. We're almost done with the whole slate. Colts Vikings. That is our primetime game. That'll be a fun one to watch. Flacco versus Darnold. Sunday Night Football.
Who would have thought that would be a fun game to watch? You said that last year. I'd be like, huh, yeah, all right.
It's hilarious, but it's true. It's like that's going to be a great Sunday night game. 46.5 point over under. Minnesota favored by 5, playing in Minnesota. Yeah, all of your main pieces for both sides. I'm not really. If you have an option to wait and see, I don't know. How do you feel about Hawkinson? Like, I think he's going to be awesome. I'm a little apprehensive. Like, I want to see it.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I think he's gonna go crazy. Honestly, like
if he's fully healthy, it's a killer matchup.
Yeah,
like
I would start him regardless if you got him, and even just waiting. I mean, I think you just plug him in and you set it and forget it kind of thing. But I mean, if he comes out there, gets 8 targets for 6 receptions and goes crazy, it's gonna be like okay. But I think Darnold just sticks to his game plan. Maybe he doesn't get too crazy. Maybe Hawkinson gets like 3 targets. You just never really know. But if it's me, I'm setting it.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning more towards that too, because the thing to remember is this is Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what quarterback's back there, like he's going to execute. And I think that Darnold is the best quarterback he's had in a little while. So
yep.
I trust him more than anybody. So if Hawkinson is fully healthy, good to go. The only thing is, like, since he's been injured for so long, it's like the rapport with Darnold makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
But I think that this is another one of those offensive coordinators that makes it easy for quarterbacks with the types of plays he's calling, So
oh yeah.
So yeah, I think I would lean actually towards starting him. I mean, this is a tough matchup for Jonathan Taylor, but he is going to have. I think Flacco is going to get this offense moving, and he's going to have more opportunities in the red zone.
Yeah,
he's not going to have a vulture. Like, Flacco's not going to vulture him for a touchdown.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. To me, JT's in that David Montgomery level where he's like, you can count on him to get you a touchdown at like every game. I think he's at that point where it's like, I mean, last year I was looking at his stats, and like the 11 games he played, he had 8 touchdowns. And this year already, he's had a touchdown in 5 of the however many games he's played this year. So he's definitely on par to like be a touchdown machine, obviously.
Yeah, Josh Downs, smash start with Flacco back there. Obviously, you're starting. I mean, like, just like we said earlier, all the pass catchers are going to see an uptick with Flacco at the helm. So I can't wait to just sit back and watch this in prime time. That's going to be a blast.
Yeah, Mo Alley Cox always looks really good with Flacco too. He's another one that's always like sneaky for like maybe DraftKings purposes or something, but soft tight end matchup too. So maybe these tight ends get involved and put out something cool.
Yeah. Aaron Jones, he doesn't have like any sort of tag, right?
I don't know. He's another one you always got to check on. He's always...
Yeah. Let me just pull him up real quick.
Nope. He's good to go.
Nope. Good to go. Not a great outing in that Rams game. But
the volume was there. But yeah, he just couldn't convert it into anything.
Yeah. That's like he's been pretty solid when he's getting those full snaps. So that was like really the 1 week that he got that kind of a snap share and didn't do much with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much fire them all up, all of the main pieces. And then what do we got Monday night? Oh yeah, this will be great too. Bucks versus Chiefs, playing in Kansas City. Actually, let me go back here. I know it was a 45.5 point over under. Kansas City favored by 8.5. This is tough, man. Because I feel like the Buccaneers just find a way to stay competitive. And last week, if Pitts doesn't get that touchdown called in his favor, that's a much closer game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still comfortable starting Baker. This is a tough matchup, but we have a lot of, so we have Kareem Hunt questionable, but I think he's good to go. I think he's going to be fine.
I'm curious to see, though, because the Chiefs are talking a lot about them wanting DeAndre Hopkins to have a much bigger role in the offense than he did. So it's going to be cool to see how that correlates and if that translates at all to something bigger. But I think this is going to be a really tough week for Tampa Bay running backs. I think all of these running backs you're going to be lucky to pick the right one out of the three. I think obviously Rachaad White gets all his work, but whether or not he's the guy that gets the points, who knows?
Yeah, the thing about all of the Tampa Bay running backs, like you have Bucky Irving questionable, but the thing about all these guys is they all can catch the ball too, and Tampa Bay runs a bunch of pass catching option, plays for these guys. So let's see. So Bucky missed practice Friday. Today. So yeah, I mean, like in full PPR, I still like Rachaad White.
Yeah.
Just because he's so heavily involved. I'm not starting him, but Sean Tucker, like yeah, they've just got a lot of depth with running backs who know how to fit this offense that Liam Cohen's running. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, how they get. I mean, if Hopkins is going to get more involved, like this is a great matchup to get that started.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard also questionable. Juju Smith-Schuster still questionable. And I think Kareem Hunt is going to be good to go. I had that pulled up.
When does Pacheco come back?
It should be. I mean, it shouldn't be too much longer. You would think. Not ready to practice. So they said it was going to be 8 weeks minimum.
Okay, so probably around like week 11.
Yeah, it's been 6 weeks. So we still got a little bit more time.
Yeah, we'll probably just get him ready for playoffs. We'll probably see him like week 13, week 12.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, I think that about covers it. If we missed anyone, if you have any questions, just leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the show, and give us a like if you appreciate our content. Good luck with all of your rosters this week, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Good luck, guys.